Hello, welcome to yet another live stream with Fabric February. And today we're going to have a live stream together with Profisee. And we are sort of mixing it up a bit today. So we're going to show you some pre-recorded content on how essentially Fabric work together with Profisee. Because Profisee is this master data management tool. And as we all know, Fabric doesn't have those master data management capabilities built in. So then you need to do something else. And then Profisee could be that tool that sort of solves the master data management challenge for you. So Profisee is one of Fabric February's sponsors. They're one of our fantastic friends, and we're really excited to have them with us. So if you're joining Fabric February this year, you of course have to come and say hello to them and visit their stands and have all those discussions and ask all the questions and all the input that you get from essentially this live stream today. That's a great starting point for all your questions. So if you're there and you're watching this live, of course, comment, chat with me. I'm going to be here and I want to talk to you guys. And if you don't already know this, Fabric February is this amazing, great conference that we're running in Oslo in just a couple of weeks, which is crazy. And since last live stream, we've actually sold out the training days. So that will be the pre-con and the post-con days. There are still some tickets left for the main con day. So if you haven't already, hurry up. You have to go to fabricfebruary.com and make sure that you get your tickets today, because we are really excited. And I mean, we're not surprised, but wow, it's been crazy. And it's selling out much faster than last year. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. We're super excited about that. Now, I think we could just go ahead with the actual Profisee content. So I'm going to share this with you through this live stream. Yeah, you're going to get this run through essentially of how Fabric integrates with Profisee and all these really new cool capabilities that are also well, it's better integrated. Let me just say that. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to, I think, show you guys. And I will see, hopefully, all of you at Fabric February in just a couple of weeks. Oh, my God, we cannot wait. Okay, so without further ado, now I want you to enjoy this Profisee content.
Welcome to our webcast on unlocking trusted AI-ready data with Profisee MDM and Microsoft Fabric. We're very excited for this webcast. We have an excellent lineup and a lot of great material to introduce you to. And it's really good that we've been working, as you'll hear, for quite some time, along with Microsoft, to build ourselves as a native part, a native workload, as it's called, inside of Fabric. And we think that's going to have a big impact on anyone who's using Fabric, anyone who's trying to get their data right as part of their Microsoft data estate. So let me, first of all, just introduce our speakers, then we'll get started with some conversation here. So importantly, we have Wangui McKelvey, the GM of Azure Analytics and Product Marketing in Microsoft. She's been a speaker with us before and someone that we've collaborated with over time, and we're looking forward to hearing her take on Fabric, where it all fits, what it's for, and importantly, how folks like us are fitting into that environment and hopefully enhancing it, hopefully making it even better. And we've got Eric Melcher, the Chief Technology Officer of Profisee. He's going to be showing you a demo of what it looks like when Profisee is integrated as a native workload inside of Microsoft Fabric. And myself, my name is Martin Boyd. I'm VP Product Marketing here at Profisee. I'm kind of the MC of this event, but also I'm going to be sharing a little bit momentarily on really what we do and why all of this is important. Then we'll have Wangui talk about the platform, and then we'll show you what it all looks like. As we go through this, please feel free to put questions in the Q&A. If you had a question in the chat, we may move it to the Q&A so that we can answer it in a kind of a logical order. There's people in the background who are going to try and answer anything that you have, but really the only way we can keep track of it is if we answer them in the Q&A. But you can feel free to use the chat just to say, hey, how are you? Any commentary or whatever, but questions will be best entered in the chat. So with that, let me get started here. Okay, give it a moment for it to catch up. There we are. All right. So let's get started. We have a great number of people here, and we're looking forward to sharing this with you. So let me just start with, so what's this all about? Why are we doing any of this? What am I MDM for? Just for anybody who is unclear, I think it's good to recap. So what if you were just like nearly every other company that we speak to that you probably want to drive your company with data. That's kind of a no-brainer. I think almost everybody would agree with that. The good news is you do have lots of data. There's more data being generated every day. I'm not going to get into the the statistics of how much data is being created, but we all know we have lots of data. So that's all good. We're aligned on all of that. Where it starts to get maybe more tricky is that the data is coming from multiple sources. If you're only reporting within one system, one ERP system, one CRM system, maybe you don't have that much of a problem. But when you're pulling information from across all of your organization, the sources that you're dealing with are generally not that well governed or synced, certainly not that well governed and synced together. So when you pull that data together, when you try and use it, you put it all in one place, and this place in this case might be Fabric, you start to see that there's a problem. What's the problem? Well, data is inconsistent. It was entered with different standards at different times. It may it probably, let's assume and hope that it works well in the source system, but when you bring it out together, you've got differences that make it hard to report and use. You're incomplete. So, system A may have lots of information about, address and location. System B may have information about creditworthiness or some other thing, but none of these systems probably has the full picture. And it's the full picture that you're going to want when you're trying to do some kind of broad analysis or whatsoever. And your data is duplicated. We've got Martin in 3 different systems. We've got Wangui in 7 different systems, probably with the name like Wangui McKelvey with a fair number of misspellings. No offense, Wangui, but I'm sure you've seen it. So if you can't resolve all of that stuff, you're going to have a problem. The data estate that you have, if you just take all that raw data and pile it on one place, is really not ready to support your business. And that means that ultimately your initial objective of driving your company with data is going to fail. You're going to have to do something about that in order to make it effective. The good news is that is the job that MDM is here to solve. That is kind of the primary task of MDM and always has been. And in this regard, Profisee aims to be the fastest, most flexible, and most seamless solution to solve that problem within the Microsoft data estate. That is not Microsoft's statement, that is our statement, it is our goal and ambition, and it's what Eric and a lot of us have been working towards for a long time. And we're going to show you some aspect of that here today. So that's kind of our high level. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody just as a context setting. So as I said, for some time, we're fairly well aligned. We are very well aligned with Microsoft, and Microsoft is well aligned with us. Although, given the relative size of our organizations, it's probably better to say we're aligned with Microsoft because that's just how it goes. We have deep integration with Azure, and particularly with Fabric. We're going to talk about today. We were integrated with Fabric, not in the same way, in a more arm's length way. When Fabric was first created, we were part of the MIDP, the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform program, before it even became Fabric. We were integrated on day one, and you're going to see now the evolution to get to the next step of integration is here with us. We've been integrated with Purview, Microsoft's governance product, from day one, even again before it was even called Purview, when it was Project Babylon and things before that. So we're in version 5 of our integration with that. I'll talk more about that in just a second. We are integrated. Our connectors are certified by Data Factory and Power BI and shipped with their products. We're cloud native. We're live today in 5 different Azure regions with SOC 2 certification, HIPAA certifications, etc. So it's not just, hey, we can host it for you. We're hosting it in a very professional way, in the way that every Microsoft customer would hope that we were. This is recognized by Microsoft. We have the various Partner of the Year awards and all that kind of thing. And folks like Dipti Borkar, one of Wangui's peers, has noted exactly how good and effective that is for both of our joint customers. And I just realized, Wangui, next time we do this, we're going to have a quote from you. I think that's one thing that we haven't done yet. My bad. Anyway, we have been doing this for a long time. We are on the cutting edge of doing this the best way possible. So in May, Build, Satya Nadella talked for the first time about the Microsoft Fabric Workload Development Kit. We were the only MDM workload invited to that party, and now 8 months later, we're at the point of this being released, and Eric's going to talk more about exactly how it gets released and all of that kind of thing in just a second. The point here, though, that we'll be making multiple times as we go through this is that having Profisee, this MDM workload, as a seamless part of Fabric, simplifies the delivery of the data that you need within that environment. Making it part of that environment means you don't have different tool sets, you don't have different architectures, you don't have different UIs. Everything is as seamless as it possibly can be, and that's how we want it. So Eric's going to talk much more about this when we get there, but we deliver matched, standardized, trusted data with Fabric. Of your medallion architecture, however you think about that, whether you use that terminology or not, getting the data that you need to be consumable and delivering it in the right ways is tremendously important, and it becomes just one within the whole Fabric framework. So let me kind of view this in a more of a kind of a graphical way, hopefully saying some of the same things, but different people absorb these things in different ways. So you've got one place ultimately where you want to do all your analytics, and in these days where you want to be the foundation of your AI and all of that kind of stuff. The target could be Fabric or Synapse or Databricks. We saw people use Databricks. Perish the thought on a Microsoft joint webcast that it might be something like Snowflake, but it could be almost any data target. And in that target, you need to have high quality trusted data that's ready to use, that's complete, consistent, and accurate. Unfortunately, we all know that that's not where you start with. You typically are going to start with data from all over the organization that is in different silos, that is inconsistent, incomplete. It's coming from different ERPs, CRMs, legacy systems, et cetera, et cetera. If you've gone through M&A, then you've probably got multiple of all of those different things spread all over the place. And so when you pull that data together, as we mentioned, it's not going to be exactly what you want. It's inconsistent and incomplete. So how do we fill that gap? There are two products or two categories of products that you need. You need to govern the data ultimately. In our world here with Microsoft, the governance is going to come from Purview, and the job of Purview is to scan and catalog all that information and start to define the data standards. So if I have a customer record, I know it needs to have these 10 mandatory fields. It needs a tax number, or it needs a whatever that information is. That should be defined by Purview as this is adequate. This is what we need, irrespective of the system that it comes from. But Purview by itself doesn't enforce those standards. It sets them up, but it doesn't enforce them. It's rather like having a rule book for a sport you just identified. You send people out, or that you just invented, let's say, and you send people out in the field and they start playing the sport, but there's no one there enforcing the rule book. You need someone, a referee on the field, who's actually going to make that real. That's what Profisee does. We're there to enforce the data standards, match, merge, standardize, validate, remediate the data. You can have a human in the loop if you need to, depending on your use case. If the data, if you're just aggregating a bunch of stuff and it's for analytics and it's very, very high volume, maybe you don't have put a human in the loop. But if you want to make the data perfect, not just for analytics, but because you want to feed it back into the source system and there's conflicting information, maybe you need a human being, or going forward, maybe an AI agent that is going to help you remediate that data at a very detailed level. So I'm not going to go into all the details of what makes all of this up, but whenever Profisee creates a new master data catalog, so it is aware of all of the latest information, any governance, that are in Purview are made available in Profisee for the data stewards to know what they're doing. So now we can publish all of that, whatever the target system is. I think of these as consumable data products. You will build as many of these as you need to support the needs of your company, depending on, and you would do it in priority order. If customer service or something to do with customers, which is, by the way, of course, a very common use case, is the most important thing, then build a customer 360 or whatever you would call it, consumable data product. It has already resolved the 15 different spellings of Wangui McKelvey. It's pulled together all the transaction information, all of the her interactions with support, whatever it is that is most important, that is now in there. So anybody who wants to report on this customer information has one place to go. They're not poking around through 7 different systems and trying to resolve all the differences and inconsistencies. We've already taken care of all of that. We've published it as a single trusted source. So now anyone with Power BI or whatever tool set you happen to be using, you point yourself at that and you've got something that you can trust. And really importantly, if you're doing something with AI, you're doing the same thing, because if you don't pre-digest and sort out the data, you start applying AI to it, and it doesn't. You don't necessarily know. It may be able to take care of some of those inconsistencies. It's not going to take care of all of them, and you're not going to know which is which, because it doesn't give you that level of transparency. So you want to have this very right from the get-go, and you would build as many of these data products, consumable data products, because there are different types of data products that people talk about. We're talking about the ones that represent gold medallion data, the fully trusted, organized data that's ready to use. Okay, so now this is just, this could be any target like Fabric, Snowflake, Databricks, whatsoever. But
hey, Martin, real quick.
Sorry.
Every time you move your mouse, I think with the screen trying to keep up, it causes your audio to glitch out. So just try to keep your mouse still. Just letting you know. Yep, sorry.
Thank you. I was not aware of that. Appreciate it. So with Fabric, we have an opportunity to do a deeper level of integration than what I just showed. We become a native workload inside of Fabric. So we have a single platform to reduce complexity. We have a consistent UI to reduce learning curve, and a single data store, or a Singe data store, as I typed it there, to simplify the architecture. So this is what we're really going to focus on here. So all of those same data sources that I may have that I mentioned before, we can now assume that they're already in Fabric as raw data, if you like, bronze medallion data. It's been already loaded, replicated in. Purview has, not Purview, Fabric has all kinds of different ways of making that work. So now we have one less integration step to do. We can now, though, pull the information from that into the Profisee environment, work through with Purview to resolve those issues, to govern the data, and then publish back those same data products in the Fabric world. Again, anybody now with Power BI can report on that, and most importantly, because in the Fabric world you have co-pilots, you can start chatting with your data in whatever way you want. You may need to build a RAG pattern or whatsoever to enable that, but now you have trusted data that you can have AI look at, interrogate, analyze, and you can use it to drive the business, which is what we all were hoping for in the first place. And if you are a Databricks aficionado, you're probably thinking bronze, silver, gold medallion architecture. The analog here is the data that was loaded in is the bronze data. And what you need, you don't want to report on that or analyze that. You want to use the gold data. And we're accelerating the process of you delivering gold data in your environment so that you can use it. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And that's kind of our broad pitch. So we have lots of customers who are doing this today, not necessarily with Fabric, because all of this stuff is relatively new. Some of them are doing it with Databricks. Some of them are doing it they're all doing it in Azure, but in different ways. We have folks like Nestle Purina. Nestle is Purina is the pet foods division of Nestle, the largest food manufacturer in the world. They wanted to have a better relationship with their customers. They started using us to build consumable data products that they publish, in their case through Databricks, that have a complete view of all the vets that they're working with and selling to, and that they want to build a community with, as well as all the customers, or they call them pet parents, that are doing the same kind of thing. We have folks like Lexmark, who are the global printing company, who have had already built a custom AI algorithm in order to predict where they needed to pre-stock their supply chain in order to make sure their customers never ran out. They needed MDM in order to significantly reduce the time and effort taken to prep the data to feed their algorithm. Apogee is a manufacturer of architectural glass. They had grown through acquisition and had 7 different divisions, each of which was running kind of in parallel. They wanted to the board hired a chief procurement officer in order to streamline their supply chain, but they didn't have any information across the whole organization that they could do it with and go back and strategically negotiate with partners. They used Profisee to standardize and centralize that information in order to do that, so that they've got data that they can use for procurement and supply chain. And Mass General Brigham is a healthcare provider, clearly in the Massachusetts area, and their mission is to expand healthcare across the region. Like a lot of healthcare organizations, they have a fragmented legacy backend, and things like having a single source of truth for all the data, the providers, meaning doctors and nurses, et cetera, was something that was missing. They had tried over time multiple times to solve that with spreadsheets and whatever, couldn't get it done, bought MDM, and now it's working. So these are different ways of looking at the kind of the problem that MDM solves. Nearly all of them relate to fragmented data that you need to get right in order to drive the business for analytics, for AI, for operational improvement, etc. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let Wangui speak. I've been watching her smiling in the corner of the screen, and I'm guessing everyone else has, and we're keen, Wangui, for you to take over and talk a little bit what Fabric is and why it is the core, or becoming the core, of the Microsoft data estate. So over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Martin. Let me attempt to share my slides here. Give me a second. All right, let me know if you can see it. Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So so as we go forward, I thought I would start with just sort of what is happening right now. If you all think about the last 30 years or so, when we think about the tools that we've all used, they really have been transformational, right? From hooking computers together in a lab that became the World Wide Web, or literally putting the world's knowledge in your hands, at your fingertips, with the advent of the smartphone. All of these have really been transformational for all of us. And like right now, in our lifetime, in this moment, we are experiencing the next great shift, this era of AI. And it's not happening a few months from now or a few years from now. This opportunity is right now. And it's really one of the most exciting shifts in our generation. And it's really taking shape across everything, across every individual, every organization, and every team. And in order to take advantage of AI, it all starts with your data. Data is the fuel that powers AI. But if you are like most organizations, your data environment has grown organically over time with specialized and fragmented solutions. A data state that looks like this can lead to data sprawl. You can have duplication of data, infrastructure inefficiencies, limited interoperability, and even some data exposure risk. Not a really ideal place to start for your AI ambitions. And then when you think about the data and AI landscape, it kind of looks like this. Lots and lots of tools that chief data officers are trying to figure out how to integrate together. And so when I talk to them, they tell me, please, please, please help me to be the chief information officer or the chief data officer. I don't want to be the chief integration officer. And so this is their landscape that they're having to deal with. But really the finish line that we all aspire to looks like this, where you have really a foundation for long-term success. This is a unified and intelligent data estate that can really empower your data teams and really help fuel innovation.
And the foundation that you can help accelerate here can really be built together to allow you to gain access to build business intelligence or do machine learning models or even create Gen AI solutions. And so with us at Microsoft, we saw this problem and we developed Microsoft Fabric. And Fabric has been in market for about a year now. And really this was our answer to help solve some of these things, where we really brought together all of our data tools into a single SaaS solution. So let me click here so you can watch a quick video.
Power your AI transformation by bringing all your teams and data together on one complete AI-powered data platform, Microsoft Fabric. With OneLake, you get an open and AI-ready data lake for the entire organization that can connect to data from anywhere in multiple ways, so that all users are working from the same copy across analytics engines. From data integration to data engineering, data science to real-time intelligence, your data professionals have all the tools they need in a pre-integrated and optimized SaaS environment. And they can extend Fabric further with native industry-specific workloads. With the new Fabric databases, you can provision simple, autonomous, and AI-optimized databases in seconds, ready to unlock innovative new scenarios for AI transformation. For large volumes of in-motion data, you can use real-time intelligence to ingest, transform, and explore data for instant insights. And you can define criteria to trigger downstream actions. All this intelligence can then securely flow to Power BI and the Microsoft 365 applications your people use every day, informing their decision-making with insights right where and when they need data the most. And everything is backed by category-leading security, governance, and compliance capabilities. Plus, Fabric empowers your people to accelerate productivity with Copilot and built-in generative AI features. All your data, all your teams, all in one place. This is Microsoft Fabric.
All right. And so what we've done with Fabric really is to really bring things together. We went from having these disparate tools into a single unified stack. We went from disconnected data sources to all your data in one place with OneLake. We went from isolated applications to entire unified data lake. And we went from having Gen AI or AI capabilities that you had to bolt on to really having it being baked in. And so when I think about Microsoft Fabric, I think about Microsoft Office. If you are an Office user, you know Office has several tools that are there for productivity, and each tool does a specific task, whether it's PowerPoint that you use to build slides, or whether it's Word to use or to create a document, or Excel to do analysis. It all is within the Office suite, and they share common elements, whether that's how you copy and paste, or how you share files or collaborate with files. And so I think of Microsoft Fabric that same way. It is really the think about this as a unified data platform that brings all of your data tools together. So whether that's integrating data, whether that's doing machine learning models with data, whether that's business intelligence on data, and really just brings all of these together. And it shares a common platform across all of these workloads, common security, common governance. And it really is, all of the elements can work together very seamlessly. And at Ignite this past November, we introduced a new workload, Fabric databases. And these are new SaaSified databases that are meant to be autonomous, AI ready, and really can be able to be spun up in seconds. And really this brings Fabric away from just being focused on analytics to really going toward our vision of being a full data platform that brings both analytical and operational data all together in one place. We also have industry solutions that are built on top of Fabric that really verticalizes and give very custom packages for specific industries. And we have, as Martin mentioned earlier, the workload development kit that allows ISV partners to also build on Fabric. And so the workload development kit we just launched really is our focus on Microsoft Fabric being an open platform. And we really wanted to make it very easy for our third-party ecosystem to build on top of Fabric as well. And the great news is we've seen a ton of momentum from many of our partners. Specifically Profisee, as Martin mentioned earlier, they were one of the first to build on top of Fabric. We did not have an MDM capability native to Fabric, and Profisee was the first to come into Fabric with their workload. And so you'll hear Eric talk a little bit more about the integration here, but really the point here is Fabric is an open platform that we are really excited to see our partners build on top of. And a bit more about Fabric. We are very excited. We've been in market for a year, but we are not stopping. Every single week we have releases of Fabric, and the pace of innovation is not slowing down. Every month we do a roll-up blog, so our community can see what has recently launched, and it's on our website. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage you to do that. We also publish our roadmap there too. Additionally, just again on momentum around Fabric, we have over 16,000 customers right now that have bet on Fabric, which represents about 70% of the Fortune 500, which is just fantastic. And while that's great, we have really great partners like Chanel and customers like Chanel and Zeiss and others who have really bet on Fabric to help lead them as they look toward AI transformation for their organizations. And while that's super exciting, it's only a drop in a bucket. Power BI has over 375,000 customers, and we see a great opportunity for us to have Fabric be as successful. And so this curve here just kind of shows you that Power BI continues to grow. You see the little dot there when Fabric launched. Power BI growth continues. And so we're really excited about that. And the reason we're excited is because if you are a Power BI user, you're only one click away from Fabric. And we offer a very, very generous trial for you to be able to get started. It's a free 60-day free trial, $17,000 worth of value with the F64 SKU. And so it's very, very simple. So I highly encourage you to do that. We also have very robust certifications in place. In fact, our Microsoft DP600 exam is the highest, fastest growing Microsoft certification in our history. We already have over 25,000 certified Fabric engineers out there. So I would highly encourage you to take a look at that. And lastly, let me just leave you with this. We have a ton of excitement around Fabric. I'm hoping Martin and Eric will join me this time like they did last time at the Fabric Community Conference in Las Vegas, March 31st through April 2nd. Tickets are on sale, so we look forward to seeing all of you there. So with that, let me pass to Eric to talk about our wonderful integration.
Awesome. Thank you, Wangui. Yes, we'll see you in Vegas, and we'll also be at the, I believe it's Vienna now for Europe.
Yeah,
and we'll be at both. So looking forward to seeing you there. So yeah, I think, so thanks for the transition. We're going to get here for everybody who always wants to see the demo. We're going to get to the demo here shortly. I just wanted to set the stage here a little bit. So I actually began my career in the BI and analytics space back in the 2000s and building similar types of solutions, but with a very different tool stack back then. So obviously Fabric has revolutionized the tooling that we use for building out these analytics platforms, taking it, with its unified platform, is taking it further than ever. But as a practitioner back then, we always face this challenge, which is we're getting all this raw data from these various applications. And the transactional data was always pretty straightforward, right? We got some invoices or some orders, and those are pretty simple. It was all the dimensional data that was difficult, right? Our customer data, the product data, all the other kind of descriptive information, that's really where we spent a lot of our time trying to get that data ready for consumption. And that ultimately led to a lot of, ETL processes and SQL scripts, et cetera, to try to take that raw data and transform it into a format that we could actually use for analysis. And so, and it worked pretty well, but there was a couple of challenges. Number one, anytime there was something that wasn't quite right, it often led to us having to go back and sort of tweak some of those scripts and processes to try to mask the underlying issue. And so that means that business users really didn't have any control or access to it. And then secondly, any of the work that we were doing, any of the improvements we were making really weren't making their way back into the operational application. So, but at the end of the day, we didn't have access to an MDM technology or platform. So we were doing the best we could with the tools we had at hand. Now, today, I think that's still the pattern that many organizations follow. The tools have changed. Right now we're running, Spark jobs and running Python scripts and using newer tools, but we're still doing a lot of that same work to mask the underlying issues and try to get the data as best we can as we're implementing our medallion architectures. So, where MDM can help with that, and why we're excited about the ability to bring our capabilities natively into Microsoft Fabric, is that, we can do a couple things. Number one, we have a lot of capabilities that are purpose-built for improving the quality of data. And so we can actually save organizations time in their implementation of their medallion architecture. And then secondly, as we improve that data, not only can we improve that data in the analytics suite or stack, but we can also push those updates back to operational applications. So not only are we making analytics better, we're making data across the enterprise better. And third, and I think most importantly, is MDM platforms have the ability to bring the user community, the business community to bear to help with this. So we can effectively harvest the knowledge of the business to improve the data. So for example, if we're missing, we're trying to do some analysis on sales by customer credit rating. Well, if we have some customer records that are missing their credit rating, that's not something that we can typically script the solution to. We need someone from the business to weigh in with the knowledge to figure out what the right value is for that particular customer. And so what you'll see is here as we walk through the demo, you'll see how Profisee can kind of bring the knowledge of the business to bear to create the data that we need for analytics. So if you think about it, virtually every customer that Profisee has is bringing the data we manage into their analytics stack. And so hopefully you'll see is how we can do that and how we can also engage the business community and harvest the knowledge of the business into your data to both make analytics better, as well as push that better data also back out to your operational application. So with that stage set, let's go ahead and jump into the demo. All right, in this demo, we're going to walk through Profisee's new workload for Microsoft Fabric. To get started, we'll look at the new Workloads Hub within Microsoft Fabric. And here, in addition to all the first-party workloads that are available from Microsoft, you also have this new More Workloads option. In here, you can see any workload that has been published as either a public preview or GA workload by Microsoft. Those workloads show up here and are available to any organization in the world, any Fabric tenant, to enable for their Fabric tenant. And here you can see the Profisee MDM workload. We're currently in the process of getting published to public preview. But once we're published to public preview, you'll be able to click on our workload. You'll be able to take into this home page where you can understand the details of our workload and ultimately enable that workload for your Fabric tenant. Upon enabling the Profisee workload for Microsoft Fabric, you can go to this home page and you can start to actually use the Profisee platform natively inside of Microsoft Fabric. If we navigate to the Fabric homepage now, we can now see the Profisee workload showing up alongside all the other first-party services from Microsoft. We have a set of resources in our workload. Here we have access to some documentation. We have links to some other resources within the Profisee website. And lastly, we have a way for you to reach out to Profisee if you have any questions. The core of our workload is the ability to create and manage data through master data products. So let's get started doing that right now. The first thing we need to do is give our data product a name. Call it Gold Customers. And here we've created our item within Microsoft Fabric. So this creates an item just like if you're creating a data warehouse or a Power BI report. And once we've created our Profisee data product item, we now can actually connect to the Profisee environment that we want to work with. In this case, we'll connect to a demo environment we have running within Profisee's SaaS environment. And here we'll connect and authenticate, and we'll be ready to get started managing some data. Now, our first focus for our Fabric workload has been on stewardship. Think of a scenario where your organization is managing some data with Profisee. We have hundreds of customers doing just that. And at the end of the day, a lot of those customers then take that better gold medallion data from Profisee and publish it from Profisee back into their analytics environment, in this case, Microsoft Fabric. Now, if a user is consuming that data within Microsoft Fabric and they see an issue with that data, they have to exit Fabric, navigate it over to Profisee. They then have to open up Profisee, find that record, fix that issue, and then pivot back over to Microsoft Fabric to then see those results, with Profisee publishing the updated data along the way. With our Fabric workload, now all of that activity can be done natively inside of Microsoft Fabric yourself. You can see here that the experience looks very much like any other Microsoft Fabric UI. And that's because as a part of our workload, we've rebuilt the front-end experience for Profisee using Fabric's own UI kit. And that's a requirement of these Fabric workloads. And that means that as a user, you'll get an experience that's very familiar, just like any other Fabric UI that you're used to using yourself. Now, to get started here, we'll go ahead and connect to some existing data. So the environment I've connected to already has some data under management. We're going to go ahead and register one of those entities with our Fabric data product. Upon doing so, we see some actual customer data now in this case that's being displayed inside of Microsoft Fabric. And we have the ability to interact with and manage this data just like we could if we were inside of Profisee's own native portal application. For example, I can open up records, I can see the details of the records, I can make edits and changes to the records, I can save those changes, and I can also interface and interact with data quality issues. So in this record here, we can see it's flagged as having a data quality issue. I open that record up. Here I see that the industry value is missing. If I go over to the Issues tab, we can see that, in fact, that is where the data quality issue exists. If we click over to the history, we can also see the history of any changes to this record. So this is a full data stewardship experience for Profisee delivered inside of Microsoft Fabric. And in fact, if we go ahead and pick this record and go ahead and assign it a value, we can save that update, and that update is published back to Profisee and can then be also, in near real time, published back out to Microsoft Fabric so that it can be consumed by other workloads within Microsoft Fabric. Our Fabric experience has robust capabilities for finding, sorting, and filtering on data to find the information you need. And we have a robust roadmap of additional capabilities that we'll be adding over the coming months. To help you get a sense for how this works, we can go ahead and log into the actual Profisee environment that our Fabric workload is interacting with. Here we can open up and see that exact same data set that we're working with inside of Microsoft Fabric. We can actually open up the same record that we just edited. And we can see that same change that was initiated for Microsoft Fabric by myself reflected back within Profisee itself. We could go in here, we could actually reverse out this change, navigate back to Microsoft Fabric, refresh our view, and see that indeed that change has been reversed, the data quality issue has been reintroduced, and we can see the history of that reversal here within the history area of our Fabric workload. So far, you've seen some of the data stewardship capabilities that we've built into our Fabric workload. What we're working on next is adding the ability to work with Profisee's matching and entity resolution engine, allowing you to interact with groups of like records, manage golden records, and manage the best data on those golden records. As we round out our stewardship capabilities, we'll then transition into enabling administrators, data engineers within Microsoft Fabric to use the power of the Profisee platform to build their medallion architecture without ever having to leave the Fabric UI. This will include the ability to define integration strategies that will allow you to bring raw or bronze data from your Fabric OneLake natively into Profisee, and then to publish the golden data from Profisee back out to your ready-to-consume area of your medallion architecture. We'll then transition to add the ability to not only identify data quality issues and correct them, but actually define data quality rules that help flag and identify issues within your data. And we'll also add the ability to configure matching processes, so the ability to identify and group together like records and generate your golden records, creating distinct sets of, in this case, customer data within your environment. I'd like to share a little bit more about the concept of data product and how that's actually being manifested back into Profisee, and then ultimately how we tie that thread all the way back to Microsoft Purview. What I'm going to do is actually create a new association to another existing data set inside of Profisee. Let's say I also wanted to create a brand new table of data that I wanted to load into some data. So now I've associated my existing region entity and added a new customer type entity to my Profisee solution. Again, if we go back over here into Profisee itself, we can see how that's reflected back within the Profisee experience. If we go to the admin area of Profisee, we can open up the definition of this data product. And here we can see all three entities associated up to our data product. Now, when it comes to Purview, we also have the ability to then associate this Profisee data product back to a Purview data product. And if I click this drop down, I can actually see data products that have been defined inside of Microsoft Purview that I can save this data product to. And upon saving that change, I can now navigate over to Microsoft Purview and see the Purview data product that's been defined previously and the association of my entities that I've defined within my Fabric experience, also reflected as components of my data product within Microsoft Purview. Now, transitioning back to Microsoft Fabric, I'd like to share how the item you've created actually shows up. Here we are back within the Profisee data product that we've created. And that's actually an item we can close. And that item is persisted back within Microsoft Fabric. In this case, I've created our Gold Customer Profisee data product item inside of my workspace. And here you can see how I can actually add that item to my medallion architecture flow that I've defined for this workspace. So this allows Profisee to be leveraged alongside all the other items that are created by Fabric's first-party services, and allows us to interoperate with those and be a part of the broader data architecture that your organization is building. And these items can also be opened back up. So here I can click on the Gold Customer item that we worked with previously, and here I land back within that item, in this case, with the ability to start stewarding my data. So this workload really allows our customers to use Profisee inside of Fabric just like any other Fabric workload, including the presence of Profisee-specific items and the ability for those items to be managed inside of Fabric workspaces, just like any other first-party item from Microsoft themselves. I'd like to wrap up by sharing what organizations that aren't yet a Profisee customer can experience within here, and that is a trial experience. I'm going to go in here and create a new data product. And in this case, I'm not yet a Profisee customer. I don't have a Profisee environment that I can connect to. In that scenario, I can use the Profisee trial. The free trial version allows me as a user to connect to a real instance of Profisee, but as a read-only user. And this environment is preloaded with a number of data sets that allow you to understand what it would be like to manage data with Profisee inside of Microsoft Fabric. So you have the ability to open up records, we have the ability to view records, we have the ability to filter and sort records, we have the ability to steward records. The only thing we can't do is actually save changes to the data, change the data model, et cetera. So for those of you on this webinar that are not yet a Profisee customer but that are interested, this gives you a free way that you can open up the Profisee workload, add it into your Fabric tenant, open up the experience, create your first data product, and then play around with the data in here to understand how you might be able to use Profisee within your organization.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Eric and Wangui, for all of that. I think that gave a pretty broad understanding of where we're headed and why we're headed there. Hopefully, we do have a few minutes. So I'm going to ask a few questions. Some of them from the chat. Some of them are for the kind of questions that people always ask. So probably people are thinking about. Let me start with you, Wangui. What has been? You talked about this a little bit, but what has been the reaction to Fabric? Are folks still experimenting, or are they putting it in production? Would you give us a little pulse on how it's been?
I think, first of all, the momentum has been tremendous, and we are definitely seeing many customers moving to full production, really betting on Fabric and seeing really strong benefits. We have one huge customer that has saved millions moving to Fabric, and so we're really excited about the momentum. And like I said, we launched Fabric databases. SQL database in Fabric is the first one that we launched, and you'll see us do more and more as we go forward. And this is really bringing us more toward this complete data platform, and so that's also bringing tons and tons of excitement. So we're really thrilled with the progress.
That's fantastic. And in all our interactions with the Microsoft team, we're hearing the same thing. Everyone is experimenting, and the question is only how quickly you go live and put it in production. Not really a question of if, but when. Eric, just speaking of going live, can you just recap what people should know in terms of the integration for existing Profisee customers and the trial that you mentioned there as well? Just timing and how to access those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going through the certification process with the Fabric team right now, and once our workload is certified, it will go into public preview. And once it's in public preview, it'll be available to any Fabric tenant in the world. So if you're a Profisee customer, that means you can simply turn it on, connect it to your Profisee instance, and start leveraging some of the capabilities that everybody saw here in the demo. For non-Profisee customers, same story, except when you create your data product, you'll need to select the free trial option. And what that does is connect you to a Profisee SaaS environment that has a set of data that people can play with, but it's all read-only, obviously, because it's a bit of a shared environment for those free trial users. So that's where we're at. So for Profisee customers, once this is published, you can start working with it. Again, this will be public preview. We have a pretty robust roadmap of new capabilities and enhancements that we'll be delivering. Obviously, a big focus for us will be engaging with a broader audience than we have been in private preview. Now that we can give it to effectively all of our customers to get feedback on it, to figure out, what are the things we can invest in functionally to continue to make it more valuable for our customers.
Fantastic, thank you. Wangui, one of the questions that comes up frequently is another big element of the Microsoft data estate is Databricks. A lot of our customers using it since before Fabric was even available. Can you talk a little bit about how you expect the customers to think about, or how you'd like customers to think about Databricks versus Fabric? When should they use what?
Yeah.
I hear a lot of hybrid implementation scenarios. Maybe you can speak a little bit to that, just to give some color on it.
Yeah, so for us, we really are thrilled that we have these two really fantastic solutions that are available on top of Azure. So for us, that is a great place to be. And so we see some customers, in some cases, they have specific reasons that they need to have extreme customization, ability to be able to be extremely flexible, and to be able to really take advantage of what Databricks brings to market. And we want them to do that, and we want it on Azure. So that's that. And then we also have customers that have other teams that may want to try something out that is not as full customization, but they can take something that's more simplified. And that is where Fabric can come in. And we see some departments maybe starting with Fabric or maybe starting with Databricks. But for us, all of it is on Azure. And so as a person that's at Microsoft, I'm happy with either. So we're excited. We just want you to be on Azure. And so either way, we really look at this as a really robust portfolio of capabilities that really is custom, and it can be designed however you need it to work. And so it really comes down to the scenario that you want to unlock and the skill set that you have in your organization that can take advantage of these tools that we have.
Fantastic. And just kind of following up on that, and the expectation of how people use the system. We talk about, it's the right foundation for analytics and AI in particular. Are you finding that the take-up of Copilot in Fabric is around this structured data that we've been talking about, unstructured documents? I certainly hear all about that. Or is it a balance? I mean, what's the take-up pattern like there from your side?
Yeah, I think obviously within Power BI is where we're seeing the biggest pickup to start, right, with Copilot, because it really helps to really streamline the functionality and the capability of Copilot from Power BI, and frankly, it helps to even unlock, I think, skills that organizations didn't know they had, right, within the technology. So Copilot and Power BI has been a really, really big success. And we're also seeing we have other Copilots and all the other workloads that are at different levels of maturity, right? And we're seeing that pick up as well. But certainly Power BI as a front door for us for Fabric has been where we have seen the most pickup of Copilot.
Fantastic. Eric, just back to you to wrap up. Do you expect all data stewardship functions going forward to be routed through Fabric, or can you be using adaptive cards, or how do you expect that to kind of flesh out as we go forward?
Yeah, so the working with the Fabric team, the kind of metaphor that they shared with us is, think of this as Outlook on your desktop versus Outlook on your phone. At the end of the day, an MDM platform, there's a lot of breadth to it, right? There's a lot of capabilities, there's a lot of functionality. And so our focus with what we're doing with Fabric is going to be predominantly around supporting analytical use cases, at least here at first, right? And so, based off of customer feedback and demand, will help us determine sort of, let's call it how much parity that we need to deliver in the Fabric experience relative to our own native experiences. So we're really going to be letting customers and usage drive our decisions around what are the capabilities that we need to reflect back within the Fabric UI that we have inside of our native Profisee UI. One thing I'll point out is that since you can think of this as the Fabric UI is just an alternative front end of the Profisee platform, customers that are using this certainly always have the ability to transition over to the full Profisee UI if there's something they need to do there that we have not yet ported over into Fabric. So we're going to let customer needs and customer value drive our decisions around that.
It was a good plan, I think. And another question, how are we using AI in Profisee today, and how will that change in the future? And then how will that be represented within Fabric? Is there anything that we should know there?
Yeah, so as far as AI and Profisee, there's really a few facets to our strategy there. So the first one is, think of it as AI in the product, and then using Profisee to make AI better is kind of the two sides of the coin. So as far as AI in the product, like every other vendor out there in the world, at least I hope all of them that want to stay relevant in their market, we're adding AI capabilities in our product. We see AI, our strategy, our focus from a product perspective for a long time has been to make MDM easy. And we see AI as an amazing accelerant of that strategy. And so in the product, there's a few things that we're doing. Number one, we're adding, let's call it AI skills to various areas of the administrative experience that will make it easier for customers to configure their solution, whether it be, suggesting a data model or a schema for their master data based off of some inbound data, suggesting or generating integration mappings as they're moving data, in and out of Profisee. Instead of having to point and click the way through defining data quality rules and policies, they'll be able to describe the data quality policies they want. We'll be able to take that, interpret into a set of rules that they'll then review and approve. So we'll be developing these various AI skills across the product wherever AI can help. And then across the top of that, we're also going to be layering in more of a chat-based experience that can help do things like, and this is something that's in development and demonstrable right now, which is asking a question about how to do something, right? Instead of having to go, we have this Profisee Academy with all this training, which is great, and we have all of our documentation, of course, but people don't like to read. It's a lot of work. So if they can just ask how to do something, let AI figure it out for them, then great. The answer is always at their fingertips. And then from there, our chat experience will evolve into more navigation and helping, like, hey, I'm looking to do something. It can take you to the place where to do it, and then help you start to tap in some of those skills that we've sprinkled throughout the broader user experience. And then lastly, we want to enable AI across the stewardship experience. So whenever a data steward or a business user needs to come in and do, like, we actually need to go harvest the knowledge from that user, we want to leverage AI to make that easier. So that is the sort of AI on the product side. And that's where we've got a lot of work underway today. And what we're researching right now, and this is actually something we're working on with Microsoft, is identifying ways to make it easy to tap into the data. And so just like we're taking this better data and making it available inside of Fabric, and of course that allows you to leverage it inside of Fabric's own AI capabilities, we also want to identify ways to effectively provide, let's call it a Profisee agent to enterprises AI. So if I'm asking a question in, say, Excel about, I need some data, if it just so happens that it's a master data relevant question, that a Profisee agent could effectively satisfy that request on behalf of that user without them having to necessarily go into Profisee and understand how to get to it and how to find the data they need. We've already successfully prototyped like a chat with your data capability against our APIs, leveraging Azure OpenAI services and some of the other tooling within Microsoft. So now it's about how can we work with some of the various Copilot teams to actually make that available as an agent. So those are both sides, right? We want to make AI helps us make MDM easy. We also want to we think the data we have is a critical ingredient to enterprises successfully leveraging AI. AI, I think, makes the kind of age-old garbage in, garbage out problem that much worse, or that much more important to solve. Maybe is
that much more critical to solve.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. Hey, we're at the top of the hour here. So just a couple of final comments, and I'll give you both a chance for very quick final comments. But before we do, thanks to the audience for being here. I believe, just eyeballing it, it looks like we've covered off every question that was in the Q&A. If we didn't, we will reach out separately and do that. And just as we wrap up, Wangui and Eric, thanks so very much for your time and attention. Any final thoughts in 30 seconds before we hang up?
I would just say thank you guys so much for the great partnership. I certainly enjoy it, and we certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo the same. Not just to Wangui, who's amazing to work with, but it's a very large team that we've been working with, predominantly out of Israel. On this, we were a design partner for this workload, and we've had a ton of help and support along the way. So if any of you are watching, you know who you are. We very much appreciate the support we've gotten from not just from the Fabric engineering teams as well. So thank you.
All right, we'll call it there. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time and attention. I hope this was valuable for everybody, and we look forward to speaking to you all in the future. Thanks, Wangui and Eric, and have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Wow. Okay, so that was the pre-recorded content. So I know, sorry if you got confused, and sometimes they're saying yes, hello, talk to us in the comments, or see you in Vegas or something like that. You're going to meet them at Fabric February. So they're going to have a stand there, and you can bring all the questions there. A lot of cool content and new things that me personally, I just learned. And really cool that this is just going to appear in our Fabric tenant for us to try out really soon. So it's not like hidden and secret anymore. It's going to become available to us to test. I love it. So that's something we have to do. Again, if you have any questions, anything you want to ask Profisee, make sure to be at Fabric February. And the tickets, they are selling out. So again, to all you beautiful Fabric February friends, this is a heads up. All right, but then I'll see you guys at the Fabric February very, very soon. Bye.